2.2 Organisational Process Assets, OPS. These are the plans, processes, policies, procedures and knowledge bases specific to and used by the performing organisation. These assets influence the management of the project. Organisational process assets include any artefact, practice or knowledge from any or all of the performing organisations involved in the project that can be used to execute or govern the project. The organisational process assets also include the organisation's lessons learned from previous projects and historical information. Organisational process assets may include completed schedules, risk data and earned value data. That's from Pinbock Guide page 39. Please remember for the exam that the organisational process assets include lessons learned and historical data such as schedule, risk data and earned value data from previous projects. And that's very important because in most of the processes throughout the project, PMI suggests that you check the lessons learned and historical data, and now you know where to find it. It's also important to remember for the exam that lessons learned on previous projects are held in the lessons learned repository. Lessons learned on the current project are held in the lessons learned register. At the end of the project, the lessons learned register is edited and finalised and then copied to the lessons learned repository. The next important point is all organisational process assets are internal to the organisation, and the project team members may be able to update them and add to them throughout the project. However, and please note this carefully, it is usually only the knowledge bases and not the processes, policies and procedures that are changed. I said usually, there can be exceptions, but usually it's not the processes, policies and procedures that are changed by the project team. If you remember back to enterprise environmental factors, the project team can change them. The enterprise environmental factors are split into two categories: internal to the organisation and external to the organisation. Now we come to the organisational process assets. We find they are also split into two categories, but both are internal: policies, processes and procedures, and the organisational databases. As I mentioned before, generally it is just the knowledge bases that are changed throughout the project. For example, financial performance information, lessons learned, performance metrics, issues and defects. These are constantly updated throughout the project. Processes, policies and procedures are usually established by the Project Management Office or by management and can be updated only by following the appropriate organisational policies and processes. Some organisations encourage the team to tailor templates, life cycles and checklists for the project. These artefacts can be found in the organisational knowledge bases within the organisational process assets. I'm just reading the following list from the Pinbock Guide as they're quite simple and don't really need any further explanation. Category 1, processes, policies and procedures. The organisation's processes and procedures for conducting project work include initiating and planning, guidelines and criteria for tailoring the organisation's set of standard processes and procedures to satisfy the specific needs of the organisation. Specific organisational standards such as policies, e.g. human resource policies, health and safety policies, security and confidentiality policies, quality policies, procurement policies and environment policies. Product and project life cycles and methods and procedures, e.g. project management methods, estimation metrics, process audits, improvement targets, checklists and standardised process definitions for use in the organisation. Templates, for example, project management plans, project documents, project registers, report formats, contract templates, risk categories, risk statement templates, probability and impact definitions, probability and impact matrices and stakeholder register templates, and pre-approved supplier lists and various types of contractual agreements, for example, fixed price, cost reimbursable and time and materials contracts, as we will cover in the cost knowledge area. Executing, monitoring and controlling, Change control procedures including the steps by which performing organisation standards, policies, plans and procedures or any project documents will be modified and how any changes will be approved and validated. Traceability matrices, financial control procedures, for example, schedule reporting, require expenditure and disbursement reviews, accounting codes and standard contracting provisions. Issue and defect management procedures, for example, defining issue and defect controls, identifying and resolving issues and defects and tracking action items. Resource availability control and assignment management. Organisational communication requirements, for example, specific communications technology available, authorised communication media, record retention policies, video conferencing, collaborative tools and security requirements. Procedures for prioritising, approving and issuing work authorisations. Templates, for example, risk register, issue log and change log. Standardised guidelines, work instructions, proposal evaluation criteria and performance measurement and criteria, and product, service or result verification and validation procedures. That brings us to closing. Project closure guidelines or requirements. Example, final project audits, project evaluations, deliverable acceptance, contract closure, resource assignments, and knowledge transfer to production and or operations. Category 2, Organisational knowledge repositories. The organisational knowledge repositories for storing and retrieving information include the configuration management knowledge repositories containing the versions of software and hardware components and baselines of all performing organisation standards, policies, procedures and any project documents. Financial data repositories containing information such as labour hours, incurred costs, budgets and any project cost overruns. Historical information and lessons learned knowledge repositories, e.g. project records and documents, all project closure information and documentation, information regarding both the results of previous project selection decisions and previous project performance information, and information from risk management activities. Issue and defect management data repositories containing issue and defect status, control information, issue and defect resolution and action item results. Data repositories for matrices used to collect and make available measurements data to processes and products, and project files from previous projects, for example scope, cost, schedule and performance measurement baselines, project calendars, project schedule, network diagrams, risk registers, risk reports and stakeholder registers. And a reminder, this is a list of what's typically held in organisational process assets. And that brings us to the end of organisational process assets. Next lesson is 2.3, organisational systems. Please read the corresponding chapter in the Pinbook guide before watching the video.